If you knew morning wood, then you know why I feel blue. Without morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Pretty, 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 pretty morning wood. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you and I need you, morning wood. I love you, morning wood, with a love so rare and true. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Well, I love you, I want you, morning wood.
Happy Devil's Monday. This is The Morning Woo, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios Mobile Command Center, somewhere in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now on Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. As we're continuing the conversation about this team that has been struggling as of late. Did win a game against the Anaheim Ducks on Saturday, but kind of a piss-poor performance against the Vancouver Canucks, losing 2-1, a team that they should beat, a team that's rebuilding right now, the Vancouver Canucks, after making that trade with Minnesota, sending Quinn Hughes over there. And we talked last night on Devils After Dark. Is it Fitzy? Is it the coaches? Is it the players? Is it ownership group? Me personally, I've concluded that it starts from the top. Because the same things have happened under different coaches for a half a decade now, maybe more. John Hines, Elaine Nasruddin, Lindy Ruff, and now Sheldon Keefe. They've all have the same issues with this team. A lot of it is a lack of accountability. Well, what do you mean? Should we bench players? Well, that would be a start. But the culture, a lack of accountability within the Devils organization, well, I don't know, it doesn't take much to say that, you know, it's quite revealing how many no-movement clauses that the New Jersey Devils have with these contracts, which Tom Fitzgerald backed himself into a corner where he couldn't move money around to facilitate a trade for Quinn Hughes when the opportunity was arising. Matter of fact, we've known for a while that Quinn Hughes wanted to go to New Jersey. Or you could speculate that with high confidence at the time in the last year. So as the trade rumors were persisting, what names were going to Vancouver, Fitzy couldn't get it done because of these no-movement clauses and couldn't facilitate a trade. Now, you can make an argument it's a blessing in disguise. Quinn Hughes isn't going to fix this mess right now. Yeah, it has nothing anybody can do can fix this mess right now, because I truly believe it comes from the top. Oh, yeah, and I forgot about Travis Green as well. Thank you, Tom, in the YouTube Live. Travis Green had this problem. Called them a bunch of all the players immature. And he bolted to Ottawa. Well, that and plus the Devils signed Sheldon Keefe, but it didn't matter whether Travis Green was coach or Sheldon Keefe or Lindy Ruff. And that lack of accountability, it hurts, because when you have all these no movement clauses, which a lot of the Devils players on this current roster has, you can't hold players accountable. It's a tool. If making trades is a tool, if you're not playing well, we're going to trade you. That's accountability. If you don't have that, why should the players play? Why should the players care at that point? I know a lot of players play for pride. I know a lot of players, they're in it to win it, with or without a no movement clause. But it's just astonishing how many players have that in their contracts or a list. Well, not only did it burn Tom Fitzgerald in trying to make a trade for Quinn Hughes, but that just gives you a little insight to the New Jersey Devils. And I've said it all along. It comes from the top. That with the amount of no movement clauses this team has, you really can't hold these players accountable. You really can't. And that's a shame. It seemed like Tom Fitzgerald was giving out no movement clauses like that was the deal breaker of all these contracts that he had signed over the years, over the last 5 years. Kind of reminds me in the movie A Christmas Story, when the dad, Ralphie's dad, and the family were trying to get Christmas trees, and they found one, and then he's trying to bargain with the guy, and then finally in the end, the guy goes, "I'll throw in some rope and tie it up on your roof rack for you." Deal. It almost seems like Tom Fitzgerald, when he was doing these negotiations with all these players that have no movement clauses, $6 million a year, I'll throw in a no movement clause, and boom, done. But he gave out too many. You should reserve that no movement clause for certain players. Certain players that, have a reason for it. But when you give out these no movement clauses out like candy on Halloween, no wonder the team is not playing with urgency on a consistent basis. No wonder this team's intensity is never consistent, where they'll win 8 in a row, and then they get down on themselves when they're on a slump. And when you can't hold players accountable, that almost seems like that's a very tough environment to coach. I'm seeing a lot of comments. Stanley, buckle up. You think it's bad now? It's going to get worse before it gets better. Moving these contracts without the benefit of draft capital and all the movement clauses, we are beyond screwed. Yeah, I mean, Fitzy's drafting hasn't been like the greatest. It hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been the greatest either. And again, it's on Fitzy. The buck stops with him because he's the one that's hiring Kate Madigan and the rest. of the folks in the Devils organization. Robert Isaacson, I'll have to listen to that. That Quinn took a subtle shot at the Devils at the podium yesterday, talking about how the Wild were willing to give up some assets. Well, yeah. But at the same time, Fitzy couldn't make it work money-wise. I mean, if some of these rumors were true, who he was giving up and the assets he were giving up, it was comparable to what Minnesota was giving up. The only problem is Minnesota had the space. The Devils didn't. So I don't think that's fair, because I think Fitzy was willing to, but he couldn't make the money work. Tom says, with all the injuries, can't even bench anyone for poor play. That's true, but it seems like these AHLers that are coming up want it more than the team that's on the current roster. Paulie says, I think they need to trade someone from the core. Trade for someone who can kill penalties and score a little. Yeah, so what happened with this penalty kill? They had 21 straight penalty kills in a row to start the season. Well, actually, they gave up a power play goal against Carolina, and then they went on a tear, which led to their 8-1 start. When you can stop another team's power play and you play solid defense, you don't have to work as hard on offense. And right now, the Devils don't have much offense for a variety of reasons. One, with the injuries, but two, they seem too hesitant. They were passing the puck around the perimeter, looking for that perfect shot that will never come. I keep on saying, you got to just quickly get the puck to the net. I don't care about velocity, speed, but just try to catch the goaltender off guard. It's not that hard. But yesterday, they were just waiting for that perfect shot. And Demko, well, he was waiting to make that perfect save because he saw all of it, especially when you don't create traffic in front of the net. Roman says, is Dougie just a defensive Palat? He looks like the slowest player in the league. Yeah, he does at times. He does look slow. Yeah, Tom says there's issues with Nico, Bratt, Jack, Dougie, and Timo. That core five aren't leaders. Yeah, the Devils need leadership in that locker room. Definitely. Maria, happy Devils Monday to you. Aren't you cold, Sam? Well, the car's on right now. I have on climate control set at 72 degrees here in the Primetime Radio Studios Mobile Command Center. Fitzy the Garbage Pail. Love the name, the YouTube Live. Billy G is a competent GM who goes out and makes moves, unlike our clown. Yeah, Fitzy's feeling the heat right now. Fitzy, the garbage pail. If Quinn stays in Minnesota, I bet you amount of money Jack is going to leave when his contract, in that final year. I've been saying it all along. Even though it doesn't fit in the Devils' scheme and timeline, if you want to keep Jack Hughes and Luke in New Jersey, you don't risk Quinn Hughes being traded somewhere else, because the Minnesota Wild are going to put up a charade of charades, and this could influence the future. This could be the first domino. It's up to Bill Guerin to try to convince Quinn Hughes to stay and then eventually try to bring the brothers along if they truly want to play with each other. But I'm telling you, this could set back the Devils organization for a very long time if the Devils are not careful. Fitzy's got to fix the problem. At the same time, you've got to make the right moves right now, Fitzy, because the room for error right now, you need a third-line center. You need that winger for Jack. What's done is done with Quinn Hughes. But most importantly, you got to figure a way how to hold these players accountable, because it's kind of like if you're, your college professor. I remember at Penn State, I was taking a summer class, a computer class. It's one of these gen ed classes, and the professor, in the beginning of that semester, I remember I thought that professor was such a jerk. But in the end, I actually really liked him. But I remember when the first day of class, of this computer science class that I had to take for gen ed, the first thing he said was, I don't care what you think about me. I don't care if you complain to the dean about me. I'm going to make sure that you're going to work hard and learn the curriculum. Like right off the bat, he was already holding us accountable. That you better show up to class. Don't waste my time. Thought he was a prick. And then at the end of that statement, he said, and if you think you're going to try to get me fired, don't bother. I'm tenured. And that's what I feel like it is with these no movement clauses or these players that have a 10-team list. It's like, don't bother. My contract is guaranteed by the collective bargaining agreement that my union, the NHLPA, has put out. And oh, by the way, I have this no movement clause, so what are you going to do about it? You might as well try to make me happy. And that's how I feel what's going on right now with all these no movement clauses. I mean, that's shocking. When Ryan Novozinski put it out there, because I knew when this whole Quinn Hughes thing was going down that, the money part was going to be the hardest part, which Fitzy was trying to figure out. But the reality is, not only he backed himself in this corner, it's on him. So if I was David Blitzer or the Devils ownership group, when you look at this, if your customer base, your fans are in an uproar, you're going to look at this, Fitzy, why did you give all these out? This is a mess. These are long-term contracts with big cap implication. Were you trying to get a discount and just adding that in? But why'd you add it to most of these players? How can you hold the team accountable when they have this leverage in the with the team? That's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me that so many of these players have all this leverage. And no wonder the players are taking control of the asylum. No wonder they're not playing as intense as they should. No wonder Sheldon Keefe has been frustrated. Lindy Ruff as well. Nasruddin in his interim status. Same with Travis Green. Same with John Hines. Again, it starts from the top. And what are the New Jersey Devils are going to do about it? And I hate to be the brunt of bad news here, But the Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment Group has not demonstrated that they can win a championship in any of their professional sports franchises that they have monopolized. They've come close here and there. They had some feel-good stories here and there. You know, the Cleveland Guardians, okay, they get made it far that one year. David Blitzer, a minority owner. The Washington Commanders, that feel-good story. They drafted Jaden Daniels. And, they made the playoffs unexpectedly. But now he's turning into be the next RG3. Deja vu. With the Devils, we know that story. The 76ers, they were so bad. They were so, basically the NBA had to step in and bring in the Colangelo family to kind of straighten things out, to kind of teach them how to run an NBA team. And then later there was a burner account incident and all this stuff, all that jazz. But yeah, I'm just mystified how many of these no movement clauses and 10-team lists are in their contracts of the Devils players. The only thing you can do right now is hopefully the Devils players will hold themselves accountable. Nico Hischier, it's just not just the captain. It's just like me trying to explain what's going on with Fitzy. Fitzy hired a lot of these people. He should be held accountable. The people that he hired should be held accountable. And, sometimes doing the right things is not easy. Again, I'm not advocating for firings, but, if you can't get the job done, this is a result-oriented business, somebody's got to go, or big changes need to be made. But some would say, woo, they started the season at 8-1. They had all these injuries, man. You got to go easy. But we've seen this script before. It starts to get old. And if you can't figure it out, other teams have figured out with injuries how to make it to the playoffs, and in some cases, how to win the Stanley Cup. The Devils haven't figured. I don't want any more excuses. Nobody wants any excuses. Excuses will procrastinate what the end game here is, and it should be to win the Stanley Cup. Whitby says Devils could be heading in the same direction of the Sixers or Vancouver. Well, yeah. I get it. As an ownership group, the goal is to make money. You buy a distressed asset, you hollow it out like what hedge funds do, or these private equity firms do, and venture capitalists, this is what they do. They hollow it out, and then you try to make it profitable, and then the net worth, your valuation of your team skyrockets, and then you flip it and use that money for your next big gig. I get it. But can't we just win a championship? Can't we just make this team better? Kind of reminds me of what happened to Twinkie. You remember Twinkie? I haven't had a Twinkie in a while. But back in the day, every once in a while I'll eat a Twinkie. And then something happened. I guess the confectioners union couldn't have an agreement with the brass at Twinkie. So Twinkie, that awesome dessert, I don't know what it is. I guess they filed for bankruptcy. Hedge fund comes in. Oh, we'll figure it out. But they hollowed everything out. They kept the Twinkie brand. But if you eat a Twinkie today, it doesn't taste the same the Twinkie before. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think the Devils organization, the New Jersey Devils, is just kind of like kind of like hollowed out of its old self. We need to bring back Devils hockey, what the brand was for 30 years under Lou Lamoriello. And the mission statement should be one word for this organization. And that one word is win. That's all we should be concentrating. Problem is, there's no focus on that. There's focus on everything else. There's the jersey. We got this, we got that, whatever. Roman says, I think Fitzy is doing exactly what Harris Blitzer wants. The most profitable teams are around 500, and that's us. To the credit of David Blitzer and Joshua Harris, they are now spending up to the cap. If you remember, previous years when the full rebuild was on, that we were one of the least spending teams of the league. We were just over the floor, essentially. But that has changed. But I do think that they're addicted to playoff revenue. But you got to spend money to make money if you want to make it to the playoffs. And if the Devils don't make it to the playoffs this season, Fitzy's really on the hot seat. But really, something has to get done. And I'm not sure if Tom Fitzgerald has as many tools as we think he has to make that happen. All right. Jay Snow says, Arthur Staples says Fitz is on the hot seat probably if let go be in the off season. Stanley True, but more like it until ownership is gone. There's just too much to blame. It all starts from the top. They came in 10-plus years ago and thought they knew better than everyone. Here we are. You know what's really funny? When you say that they came in 10-plus years ago and thought they knew better than everyone. There were a lot of NFL insiders when Joshua Harris bought the Washington Commanders. They felt the same thing. And some were predicting they would be a disaster. Now, I think they got lucky with Jaden Daniels. But right now, I think that luck has run out because the Washington Commanders are having a terrible season this year. Wibby says in 2022-23, team set a franchise record for ticket revenues. Ownership prefers winners and us paying over face value to get into the full arena. Yeah, because let me tell you, that Devils-Rangers series, the way the Devils were charging, that was like rounds 3 and 4 prices. Because they were charging a lot per ticket for that series. And I know a lot of teams do. It's unfortunate. Jason, remember, the future is bright. This is supposed to be the bright future. Jason, Fitzy completely ruined the rebuild. Yeah, I mean, we were complaining about it 5 years ago here on the Let's Go Devils podcast. Are we really going to wait 5 years to find out? Alexander Holtz amounted to nothing. Muhammad Doolin was a wild card, which, I think a lot of times Fitzy masks his mistakes with these trades. Dawson Mercer, that was a good pick. Chase Stillman amounted to nothing. Luke Hughes, great pick, but how hard is it to screw up the top 5? Nemec has turned out to be okay, but in my opinion, you draft based on best available, not on needs. If it happens to be the best available, addresses your needs, so be it. It's great. But I still think that was a mistake when they drafted Nemec. And Tom doesn't want to hear any injuries anymore. Neither do I. I'm tired of the excuses. And isn't it amazing that when Devils players leave the team, they go on to have highly successful careers like Scott Wedgwood, who the Devils let go. Mackenzie Blackwood. I think Mackenzie Blackwood needed a fresh start. But I don't think the Devils did him any justice with his development. You know, Vitek Vanacek won a Stanley Cup. I know as a backup. But still, what have the Devils done for us lately? Practically nothing. And look, they got a couple days to figure it out. They'll be back Wednesday against the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to have a lot of late nights this week. And then they play the Utah Mammoths. Get to see John Marino on Friday. So they have some time. And then on the 21st, the home game before Christmas, Devils playing the New York Islanders. And also they play, no, not the New York Islanders. Who are they playing on the 21st? I forgot now. They play the Islanders on the 23rd. My bad. I'll look it up right now. Boy, my memory's bad. Your memory gets bad when you get a little bit older, especially when you don't get sleep. I mean, this past weekend doing the podcast, American Whiskey, that could kind of wear you out. Oh, they're playing the Buffalo Sabres at home on the 21st. That's Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. So the Let's Go Devils podcast Sunday edition will be preempted. And also, they play the Islanders 23rd. Come back after Christmas break, play the Washington Capitals. And the following week, to end out the year, to play the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto on the 30th. And then, very interesting, they're playing the Columbus Blue Jackets on the 31st. If you remember the fights and the, I guess, they were mad at each other. I wonder if that's going to continue. But Jay Snow says he missed on almost everything, almost every draft pick, bad signings, no trade clauses. Screwed us. But anyway. All right, I want to thank all those tuning in to the Morning Woo. Dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. And, yeah, well, we didn't have any geese flying overhead. And, yeah, love the Primetime Radio Studios Mobile Command Center. Also, we're going to have more information. The Let's Go Devils podcast is collaborating with WFAN's Danielle McCartan. She started a new business, a sports travel business, and we're going to Long Island for Devils Islanders on January 6th. It's a one price, includes a ticket, it includes the bus ride, it includes pregame meal at a bar next to the arena, all inclusive from what I read. And I've talked to Danielle about this. So basically you show up, you pay, or first off, you pay, then you show up. They take care of everything for you. And I'll be on that trip. So I'm going to start promoting it very soon. Devils Islanders in Long Island at Belmont on January 6th. The bus will be leaving from Secaucus, New Jersey. I'll have more details. You got to arrive there around 4. We go on the bus ride. We have a great pregame. We'll do game day live from there, hopefully. And maybe I'll do Devils After Dark on the bus ride home. Anyway. Again, want to thank all those tuning in. And I think Tom's going to go. I'm going to make Tom go. All right, for the ceremonial sip, I only have my unsweetened iced tea here. So I want to salute you, the Devils fans, that just listened to my BS for the last 30 minutes, because we're beating this subject to death, but this is what the problem is. You got to change the culture to a winning culture. You got to change the culture to accountability. You got to change this culture of treat your shift as your last shift, and hopefully we'll get results. Anyway, I drink to you, the Devils fan, today. Till next time, this is the Woo Report. Let's go, Devils.
Morning.